Schools across the country are preparing for possible visits from immigration agents. The reason behind the move being President-elect Donald Trump's vow to enact the biggest deportation of illegal immigrants in U.S. history. Schools and other places like churches and hospitals have been deemed off limits in the past. Check this out. A 2011 memo from then ICE Director John Morton stated this policy is designed to ensure that these enforcement actions do not occur at nor are focused on sensitive locations such as schools and churches unless exigent circumstances exist. That would be like if there was an imminent threat or if they'd had prior legal action taken. However, incoming border czar Tom Homan is promising to override sanctuary laws. So could this just be another long-standing policy he decides to work around to fit Trump's agenda? One educator I spoke with warns the threat of ICE will be a distraction in classrooms.
We don't have children in our classrooms that are terrorists or that are a national threat, and so it's the wrong conversation. It's racist rhetoric. It is not something that's uplifting and building communities. It's not something that's helpful, and honestly, it's something that is distracting from real issues that we need to address in this country.
And this is a very sensitive issue, and we want to bring you all sides. Let's welcome in former National Chief of U.S. Border Patrol, Ron Vitiello. Thanks for being with us.
Delighted.
So incoming border czar Tom Homan, he's promising to deport the worst first, right? Meaning illegal immigrant criminals, violent criminals, and gang members. So why not just put it out there and rule out going after children?
Well, there's no indication by all of the rhetoric, by the public statements, and by the plans that I think are written in the White House or in the incoming administration that talks about targeting schools or churches or other sensitive locations that are referenced in the John Morton memo. What they've said about that restriction is in 2022, when it was doubled down on and they included being near those places and doing their work, ICE fugitive operations, that they needed permission from Washington. And that's what's being talked about as it relates to allowing the front line, the professional law enforcement agents that are officers that are going to do this work to do it without having to call into Washington first. There's nobody contemplating going to knocking on the doors of an elementary school or a classroom even to find people who are in the country illegally. They're going to target the folks that are ready to be removed from the United States first, which is about 1.3 million people who are in the country illegally and have also committed crimes in their local communities and towns. And if some of these officials, principals and mayors and police chiefs in these cities that want to be sanctuaries, were more leaning in on helping ICE, there would be less effect in communities and streets and towns and any location within those communities.
Yeah, look, more communication is better all the way around if both sides would talk to each other a bit more. I did speak with an immigration human rights group about the impact all this could have on classrooms. Let's listen to that. I'll let you respond.
I think this is a very detrimental step when it comes to public safety for all, because this is not something that's just going to affect immigrants. It's going to affect the community in its whole.
Yeah, look, and if it wasn't primary school or middle school, if this was even going on at high schools, if it did end up happening that way, it would be traumatic for the other students to watch this unfold, even if it was from afar. So how can schools and border officials work together to address these concerns? Because these deportation plans are going to happen, and it's something that Donald Trump campaigned on, and he believes he has a mandate from the American public to do it. So how can communication get better?
Well, I think that we have to understand that schools are not a target, that officers will not be going to any school to find people who are in the country illegally. Now, they may go to homes, they may go to businesses, they may be near hospitals and schools and churches and places like that. But let's not forget that the government records tell us that 11 million people have entered the country without being invited, without being inspected, and are here in the country illegally. That's the ones that they know about. There is a large, significant number that's more than that are in the country. And we also know that they've negatively impacted immigrant communities like Jessica Nongarai, like Rachel Marin, like Lincoln Riley, who they've been devastated by the threat of these gangsters that are now among the flow of the pipeline of people who have come, the 11 million or so that are in the United States illegally. And so this has to be corrected if we want to have an immigration system that has common sense, that has sanity, and that works for all Americans. And so finding criminals, finding people who are a threat to public safety, obviously the priority.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.